Morning, everybody. Well, for some reason, the video I did on the morning of the 11th just disappeared, and I was thinking about re-uploading it, and then last night it was back. I haven't got a clue why. Maybe one of their servers went down. Maybe an algorithm made a boo-boo. Whatever. One of you guys left something in the comments section. You're talking about how your parents had like a 57 Mercury, that wagon. They made the back like a bed to go to drive-ins, and oh man, some memories came flooding back. We used to have a drive-in in my hometown. It was called the Hilltop Theater, and there are two movies I remember seeing there, but what was cool was our parents would take you usually 3 or 4 at a time, and I remember because we would get back late enough, it was time for us to go straight to bed, so they would make us take our bath and put our pajamas on and put pillows and blankets in the middle seat of the wagon, and we'd go to the theater and we would watch these movies in our pajamas. It was like taking your living room with you. It was so cool. Memories you can't buy. And the one movie I distinctly remember seeing there was The Fantastic Voyage, with like the coolest Hollywood submarine ever. I mean, that was probably the only submarine that was cooler than the Sequest. And there was another movie, and I don't remember the name of it. It could have been The Sands of Kalahari. All I remember is these people were in an airplane that hit a swarm of locusts, and it conked out the engine, so they had to make an emergency landing in the desert and survive for a while. And I remember these traps they had set up to catch lizards so they'd have something to eat. But if anybody ever saw that movie, The Sands of Kalahari, if that was a swarm of locusts that brought the plane down, let me know, because I went looking on IMDb last night, and that was the closest thing I could find. But anyway, that's all I can remember about the movie, because I was probably 4 years old, 5 years old when I saw it. Drive-ins. And if you're sitting there scratching your head going, what the heck's a drive-in? Although drive-ins did get kind of a shout out in the, what was that recent movie, Ant-Man, where it looks like they're a drive-in, but they shrunk down and they're actually in front of a computer. But that was cute. That was a nice, but that was good memories, And I got a chat yesterday with Jim Keeler, and I'll put a link below. He worked for Revell and Aurora and a bunch of others, and has been doing hot rod and car stuff and model stuff. And man, what was supposed to be a 5-minute introductory call became about a 1-hour bull session. So the guy is he's a friend of Andy Anchis. So those guys, man, they're just a wealth of knowledge. So hopefully, like with Andy, we'll be able to do a series of videos with Jim, and just he knows a lot about mold making and everything. He was getting into the nuts and bolts on that. So just a fountain of knowledge. And he, because he was on the sales side of things also, he knows a lot about the numbers. A lot of you ask how many models they made and that kind of stuff. And he actually has some of the, I think, some of the paperwork, some of the sales figures. So, my God, of course, it's so hard for me to ramble on for an hour. And speaking of Andy, he started sending me a ton of stuff on Strombecker, so the Strombecker videos, so I'm going to get to work on that. And I've got about 4 or 5 videos that are in various stages of research or production. And Sergey over in Russia sent me some stuff on the old Russian company, Olganyak. I hope I'm saying that right. So that's another one that's in the works. And Sergey, you didn't tell me you actually manufactured models. He had a small company that actually made a few injected kit models out of the Ukraine, I believe. So may probably profile that company too at some point. And while I was searching through things, I was checking my old videos looking for some information, and stumbled onto this from just after the lockdown began. And I was like, wow, I actually did have a haircut once. So anyway, speaking of old movies, I remember when I was just doing this old movie stuff. The one time I got that crap scared out of me by a Disney movie was Darby O'Gill and the Little People. And I know she probably couldn't make today because of the way it portrays the Irish, but anyway, it's a fun Disney flick with the little people. Hey, Lucky Charms. And then when the girls die and the banshee comes, I'm like, I didn't know it was a ghost story. And it's wailing and everything. It scared the crap out of me. I was about 8 years old. What's that thing? It's a banshee. What the hell's a banshee? Maybe that's one reason it took me so long to buy a model of a banshee. I don't know, I'll get the Panther. Banshees scare me. That's probably why they called that jet a banshee, because those things apparently, they made all kinds of racket. And, the Panther was a much better airplane. It was later designed, and it did it on one engine. But I always thought the Banshee had smoother lines, just wasn't such a stubby looking airplane. I actually kind of like the old Phantom One, there's something about that early generation of jets that just, belong, like getting wings and everything. You see some of these jets that were prototyped and never built, some of the old bombers and stuff, and like, oh man, they should have built a few of those. They just, even though you realize they were trouble plagued and underperformed, but my God, some of them just look like the Black Hawk. I think that's what they called it. It just looks so pretty, and long wings and long slender fuselage. But so you don't see a lot of kits of those. You have to go to resin makers because obviously airplanes like that, they're more obscure, don't have the following, they're not going to sell as many kits, but they are still part of the history and beautiful looking airplanes. Of course, after looking at all that stuff on Ina Grand and Fantastic Plastic, I just love those concept aircraft. You're like, man, if they could have just made one of each just to see if it worked. Some fertile minds out there working in the engineering departments. I mean, that German Triebflügel, the thing with the rotor blades, the motors in the end, that thing does not look slick in any way, but it would have been kind of cool just to see if it had worked. I think that's where they got the idea for some of those wild-looking aircraft in the Captain America movie that Hydra was operating. Those, maybe that's one of the reasons a lot of us are so interested in the wartime and post-war era, is because they were trying so many exotic things. And you think about it, some of the aircraft like the Pogo, there were several companies made models of that, and you're like, so some of them did get kitted. And that's, to a lesser extent, same goes for cars. I mean, you think of Darryl Starbird's Predicta. That's one specialty car that a guy made, or the Monkeys Mobile, and well, it was a very popular model, and so every once in a while, that one-off machine, car, plane, or whatever, the MBT-70. I remember somebody made a kit of the old tank, the MBT-70, which, by the way, kind of quasi-evolved into the M1 Abrams years later. But sometimes the experimental stuff does get kitted and becomes real popular. And if I was, the Rata, the P1000 Rata, the Landcruiser tank, Tacoma makes that kit. I've got one. That thing was never built, but there's just that cool factor. Okay, that gives us today's question. What would you say? Now, I'm not talking about science fiction like Star Trek Enterprise or anything like that. By the way, when asked what the coolest spaceship was, I think the Klingon battle cruiser. I was asked a while back, what's your coolest sci-fi vehicle not from Earth? Somebody asked if Battlestar counted. Absolutely, that was from Capricorn. But the Klingon battle cruiser, I'm pretty sure I was reading the comments that was a pretty clear winner. I could go for that. That's pretty awesome. That was an awesome looking ship. And so today's question is, what is the coolest concept vehicle that they made a kit of. Now, it can be one that was built or one that wasn't built. So it could be, the Pogo, the tail sitter. That was an aircraft that was actually built and made a kit of it. Or it could be like the Hawk Beta 1, which was never built, and or the Russian nuclear-powered bomber. Just to have something off the top of my mind, I've never had the kit. I'm going to go with the Hawk Beta 1, but and yeah, resin counts. So as long as it's been kitted by somebody, it's not a one-off. So it doesn't matter if it was made by Hawk or Revell or Monogram or Anagrand or Fantastic Plastic. So yeah, prototyped, or concept vehicle, either one. So and given how many of those things have been made by these small companies, that gives you a lot to choose from. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Hawk Beta 1. And although the XF-108 Rapier make a real close second, either model, with the one with the step cockpit or the one that just had the no windshield for the pilot. He was just in a sleek fuselage, like a snark with a tail on it, and the pilot used a periscope. I have a book. I forget if it's The World's Worst Aircraft, but the section on the Sea Dart, which was a kit produced by several people, and I've actually seen one of the real Sea Darts. I think they have it down at Lakeland. I think at the EAA museum. And the book on the chapter on it says they were heady days when somebody thought to put an F-102 on water skis. Well, anyway, that's what I got for this morning, boys and girls. Coffee. Y'all have a good day. And I have a family function tonight, so there probably won't be anything coming out this evening. And I haven't even had a chance to work on the GTOs. Didn't get to them. I got the paints yesterday. Went into the place to buy a can of paint. Came out with 4 cans of paint and a Monogram 148 scale P40B for Pearl Harbor P40's video. I want to remake with my own stuff so it doesn't get taken down. If I didn't tell you, I did a video a while back on the P40 Pearl Harbor boys, or the Pearl Harbor P40 boys, and it was approaching 1 million views when it got taken down by YouTube, and they never told me why. They didn't give me a chance to claim it was just gone, and I'm sure it was something copyrighted I probably used. So this one I'm going to build the models and do it completely myself. Well, guys, you take care, and we will see ya mañana.